Always got to remember to change that thing up a little bit as far as that angle goes. And welcome to Saturday morning's practice. What is today? The 23rd. And don't forget now, twsmith.org is where most of these videos will be, that and our Patreon. If you are a patron, you get a free access to the website. I just will carry it right over. All right. Okay. I had a couple things in mind for today. Of course, some of y'all have, triggered some other thoughts, and I'm going to extend on what we spoke about earlier. You know, um, one of the best things that come with a practice of, I'm going to say, with good kung fu, and I know that sounds a little prejudiced, and I am a little prejudiced, you know, because like my Sifu used to say, Sifu Chin will tell you all the time. I said, look, we can negotiate and talk about anything you want. But you'll never tell me what good food is. You'll never tell me what good music is, and you'll never tell me what good kung fu is. I'm very prejudiced about those things, right? And so, by what I mean by good kung fu, or good martial arts in general, is that one, you have a platform that can change and alter and get outside of the uh, constraints of the art. Okay, so like if you practice on mats all the time, I mean, it's just a bore to me, right? If it's always on the ground, it becomes boring to me. As far as martial arts, I love wrestling, right? But if you don't practice on something that's uneven, stairways, no space, you know, you've got to take away things in order to have things when it comes to martial training. But we were having a conversation earlier. One of the things that develops in good kung fu is lexicon, language, right? Communication is the word Scott was using earlier, and and that is extremely important for you individually and collectively, because there's not a lot of people, and I would dare say, even in the martial arts, that can sometimes understand what it is you're trying to communicate to them. If you're one of, for example, one of my senior students or one of Sifu Chin's senior students, we would spend a lot of time trying to communicate to even some of our own cousins who came off of the similar tree, right? They were, like their teacher had been around Sifu Ko. But there was a big difference between those who had practiced with Sifu Ko directly for years and those who had practiced with Simone, his wife, even though she taught very similar things as far as the form. And if you saw them doing, you go, oh, yeah, I know exactly what that is. But it sure looks different, or it's close, but not the same. But one of the things that happened, and I'm going to butcher this, so I'm going to, give myself a, a sorry before I even try to say it. But as Scott was saying, we speak things verbally, but then when you're talking with a classmate, a lot of times it's a corporeal experience. You have to sense what I'm trying to say, and sometimes what happens is I heard Scott tell Mr. Speed, "Hey, this is what you just did, and you did this in order to try to achieve it. I don't want you to do that. Just think that way." And for us, that makes total sense. And Bob did a beautiful job following that instruction and almost put Scott on his ass. Perfect. But how many people understand? I don't want you to do it. I want you to be it. I don't want you to do a sitting down. I want you to be a sitting down. Right. And for many folks, until you're around us long enough, or until you get put on your ass a couple of times, or you feel it in you, you have no way to communicate. You're constantly trying to physically get someone to do something till they finally begin to digest it. Once you do that, then it's yours, right? It's yours. The only problem you'll ever have then is just trying to understand why other people don't understand you. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. That's- yes. Yeah, and you right, exactly, exactly, and that's a perfect example, right, of and I can tell you the platform that you all learn it in, and if you're one of the students, you'll learn it in, is that you develop the lexicon, the dialogue, the understanding exactly the way the Buddhists teach you to do it. You learn to communicate to yourself first, and then you can see it and sense it and feel it in others, and you do that right here, right here. Right? All of this, right? This is where you start developing that lexicon, that dialogue, that you sense things, you feel things inside yourself, and you're able to communicate yourself. And that gives you a platform to be able to work with others and share with others. As much as they can try to digest, but if they're not doing their posting, it's the gap is like a gulf. Right? So anyway, that's one of the things I really encourage you. It's not. I don't want to say it's like well, some of the students will call it like black magic, right? Because you'll feel me do something to you, and you're like, okay, what the hell did he just do? I know I could feel it, but I couldn't see it, right? And it does feel like black magic, but it's not once you get at that level of understanding that I need to find that myself. And then I can figure out what it is he's doing. See, Virginia used to do it to us all the time, right? He used to feel like a damn octopus. Every time you push hands with him, you're like, holy crap, he's all these, and then all of a sudden he's crushing you. And you're like, how did he even get here? I never even felt him get inside my guard. Um, One of the things I wanted to do today, uh, jumping over to the next level, was trying to find in yourself when God, I just realized that it almost segues perfectly. It's trying to find inside yourself when your mind is looking for space. It's looking for comfort. It's looking for um, some sort of, I don't know how to say it, some sort of coiling because it's not ready yet. And so, you'll find that this happens in conversation. Because if it's happening in the mind physically, it's a systemic problem, right? I realize that about myself. One of the things that I still work on, is the being patient and listening. How could I tell, right? Because sometimes I started to learn to catch myself that sometimes I would interrupt someone while they were talking because my thought when they were saying something would get triggered and I would interrupt them. A systemic problem of impatience. Listen, absorb, and then respond. And then practicing that. That's a state of mind. That's a state of heart. So when you see something that's happening, like looking for space, well, what does that trigger? Hesitation, right? Opportunity came, I saw it, and then it gone because I hesitated or I wasn't prepared to follow through, right? It could be any number of things. But in my mind, that's what I posted on the thing is how do you see that? How can you find that in yourself? And one of the best ways, let's just get into a turtle post posture. Okay. We're not going to do a lot of turtle posting today, but I wanted to kind of use this, or Tara, any of you are familiar with it, just here in the universal, just as good. Okay. You can do it just right there too. In fact, I'll do it here in the universal. But for some of you, if you want to do the turtle, that's fine. Oh, and those of you, this is what we call the universal posture. Plenty of pictures of Sifu Kolin Ying standing like this. He looks like a. I'm a. Jen used to point out something that I didn't know how to put into words, but when you saw it, he was the sort of man that you could see him in a picture and he still looked alive. Right? I mean, I don't know how to explain that, but you look at him and you're like, shit, he might jump off the page like in a cartoon. Yeah, yeah, like yeah, that was go. Yeah, but anyway, that sort of sensation inside yourself, right? That oh my gosh, I'm where I need to be now. How we we like to do a little exercise with baby elephants, right? And one of those exercises, is to imagine, for example, that you are in your posture. And I don't know if this will make sense to any of you all. Sometimes it will, or sometimes it won't, but it does to me. And again, you have to find your own dialogue. I'm trying my best to demonstrate, communicate to you all how I do it, but I don't expect you to do it this way. But for me, I use a voltage meter in my mind, and a voltage meter setting at zero, right? And then if I want to expand, it goes to the positive. If I want to squeeze, contract, it goes back. That's the meter. Well, my heart and soul is the meter, right? What are you doing, Gallagher? Resting? Anyway, so when you're sitting here, if you're at zero neutral and you want to expand, you'd like for your body just to feel like it goes boom, and then it just comes back to zero. It does not fall into the negative. Okay. So, but in your mind, your body's going, "Poof." But as Scott said earlier, I'd like for you to do that, but I don't want to see it. I'd like for you now, you may need to be challenged with that, but when you see my body, if you saw me or touched me, you could feel me doing it go, boom, expand back to neutral, expand back to neutral. Okay. You're back to neutral. And this time you're going to squeeze a little bit and everything just kind of draws in. If I was moving so you could see it, then it would look like this. Boom. This may not be a very good image, but I can tell you the image that I used for this growing up out in the country. If you've ever seen a dirt dauber catch an ant, okay, the uh, the uh, the little dirt daubers I'm referring to is it's an insect that buries itself in the sand, and as it buries itself, it makes an inverted cone. So you can see them, and it's an inverted cone about an inch deep. And it sits at the very bottom of it. And when an ant walks into it, ant will try to walk up and it starts spitting sand at the ant, and the ant falls back down into the cone. And when it falls down to it, he just grabs it and pulls him into the sand. Okay. In my mind, I'm that dirt dauber. Boom. And I just pull. Always make sure that you come back to zero, to neutral. If not, then you'll get in jumping jack mode and you're now failing the exercise as far as getting what you're trying to get from it. Because once you start going, you go one, two, three. Well, the exercise isn't for that. The exercise is for you to get stable and then not hesitate. Boom. How can you know if you hesitated? Okay, I'm going to do it. Well, that just means you just hesitated, right? You thought about it and you didn't do it. Your thought and your actions, boom, one time, boom, mentally and physically. Good. Take a little break. Now, that exercise is a great exercise. It will demonstrate to you, physical hesitation, overanalyzation, all these different things. Okay. Now, if we're going to put now, and this is all well and good, but if we're going to say it in the martial arts, as Sifu Jim would used to say, is, well, show me, what's the purpose of this? Um, and so a good example would be is, you see this all the time when we're getting ready to do something. And if I'm here and if I'm going to just kind of you know, tap Ryan in the chest, and I go, just like that, right? And I go, boom, boom, and off and go. I just hesitated, right? You saw my body go from 0 to a negative and then try to go positive. Well, by the time I move, he's already gone, or he's already punched me. Because as a good Tai Chi man, as soon as you see me do this, did you see what he did? I didn't even ask him to. He knew exactly what to do. As soon as me pull back, he just trailed it in. Okay? Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to wait till they move. That's stupid, right? Or leave me fact, until they try to punch you. As soon as they move, you're gone. Right. But if I'm without hesitation and I'm at 0 here, boom, then that's without any boom. I think about it, I do it. Think about it and do it. Not okay, I'm ready. I thought about it and then I did it. Try for just a moment to just touch hands, cross over, okay? And then from here, go right to it. Just touch their shoulder, touch anything, right? You kind of walk around and help them. Oh, there you go. Gallagher needs a partner. And if you're by yourself, we'll do it together. When you see my hand come to, and I'm going to move nice and easy. When you see my hand coming to you, what I want you to do is I want you to just pull it back, pull it back like you're following me. Okay, let's do it like that first. Basically, it's just a depth perception drill. So I'm right there and out. 2. All right. So yeah, when you feel me coming, I just want you to pull back. This is the contracting part we were just doing in the posting, the squeezing part. Okay. Let's do a few more. 3, 4, 5. Good. Okay. This time we're going to start. You're going to start in the same place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back. When I pull back, I want you to trail it. I want you to connect with me and follow me in. Follow me right in as if you're going to just touch me right here on my shoulder. Okay. So here we are at 0. I stay patient, stay patient. Do one more with me. Now, you can practice on your own and just imagine it. That's why we use the baby elephants. And one of the exercises, we use the baby elephants and they're pushing on your forearms, all right? And so when they're pushing on your forearms, you're holding your frame and your mind expanding. You have to expand your frame because if you don't expand your frame, then the elephants are just going to crush you, right? So you expand well past them, so that you feel it. Of course, your body can't move 2 baby elephants, but your mind can. So if you allow your mind to do the work, then on the other part of the exercise, they wrap their trunks around your forearms and they're pulling you as if they're stripping leaves off of branches, right? Trying to get the fruit or whatever else. They just wrap their trunk and they strip. So they wrap around each forearm and they're pulling. So in your mind, you have to squeeze, bring that frame in and hold it. Bring that frame in and hold it. Okay. Do that just a little bit more. Let me check on everybody else. Uh, all right. How's everybody doing? Okay, so we don't know what we're doing. All right. All right, or is what you were saying. Um, let me get back up here. Um, Different exercises are going to give you different things. All you're trying to learn to do is learn how to start from a place and go to that place without hesitation. That would be one. Okay. The other one that's a good one, and we do this a lot in push hands. This is just a little bit more rudimentary way of kind of doing it. Is that if Ryan pushes me, is that I'm following him, right? No, he doesn't have to push hard. The main thing is just come back to neutral, and then whenever he's ready, I just follow it. I don't resist it. I don't try to get rid of him, right? I'm not trying to grab and hold. Those are all techniques of insecurity, right? Someone tries to move, you're not confident, so you grab it. Oh, I'm not confident, so you try to push it away from you. All right. Or you're not sure what to do and you just get crushed, right? Well, none of those are his fault. That's a you problem. And it's okay to have the problem. That's why we train. We find our problems and we train our ways into new responses, right? I mean, I'm not being trying to be critical. It's just one of those things that if we can't accept, okay, like I've said, I was, and some of the students have felt me go into this mode. I can be a real asshole. I'm a hammer, right? And if things aren't going and I get down to a certain place, man, I'm pulling out the big hammer, right? Right. I mean, because I'll just pick up the damn pieces and re-glue it and put it back together again if I need to. But I mean, there's a certain place where I just have had enough. I'm not apologizing for it. I've usually you will know before I ever get there. And I'll let you know that if this continues, I'm getting ready to become the hammer. Right. But the point is I know that about myself. So I always practice trying to be a more of a paintbrush. It's not easy for me. Some folks are more of a paintbrush and they're just trying to find the hammer. There's a great movie called the Iron and Silk back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? About a true story, by the way, about an English teacher, a young guy graduated being an English with an English major, went to China, ends up meeting a girl, and in order to get to know the girl, he has to learn kung fu, and then he ends up teaching English in China for about 6 or 7 years. Great movie. Iron and Silk came out in the 80s. Um, when you start to realize things about yourself, you're trying to find exercises to help you learn other pieces, right? Finding out how your mind and body's hesitating or rushing are things that you'll learn in your Tai Chi practice. So let's take, for example, um, shoe to sheep. Okay. All of us, for the most part, have done shoe to sheep in the past. It's here and back, right? A physical motion up and out and back. Now, sometimes one of the things, as far as emotion goes, right, you'll see the actions of where you're thrusting up with the buffalo tongues, and then it opens up and out, right? Now, what you might be doing in the action or with an intent is to try to have, let me borrow you again, Ryan. All right, is to have a feeling that when I'm pressing up and out, when I open up, that I spread it out, and now I'm gonna pull it back. And now that ability to get in, press, and then flick and flare. Did you see how my whole body participated? But at no time am I rushing or hesitating. It's just a nice get with a partner if you want. If you don't have a partner and you're practicing the air, thank you, Ryan. All right, is to just keep it smooth. Always start, if you're a beginner, start smooth, okay? And then when you're trying to actually add a little bit, you might have a little bit of what I call a flare, right? It's a slight jing or a little pepper so that when it goes from a transition, it goes pop. And what you're trying to learn to practice is that there's no hesitation or rushing, right? When you're in no hesitation or no rushing, on my voltage meter analogy, you're at neutral. You're at zero. You're not trying to accentuate. You're not trying to squeeze. You're at neutral. Always try to work on neutral, especially in the beginning. Now, that's hard for a lot of practitioners because they're used to going slow, 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 snap. And then they pull back and they, right? They're never at neutral. They're too slow with tension. And then they try to extenuate and they never learn neutral. And then what will happen is that if you never have neutral, then you always have a predetermined place that you're trying to do something. Predetermination is at least it's a flaw. I mean, at least in my mind, it's a flaw because if you practice hitting something the same way in the same place every time, well, the opponent's never going to tell you the where, when, and how that they're going to try to hit you or where they're going to be when you do it. So you have to have an open platform so that you can expand in all different types of directions. That's not just philosophy, that's a theory. You can't move forward and understand moving forward if you don't understand what being still is. Like just another minute or two. And if you're practicing this in the air again, and if you've done this before, if you're what I would describe as a novice or at least advanced novice or advanced with this, then what you'll do is you'll sit and you go, boom, mm. I'm gonna do it towards you a little bit on the camera here. So I'm gonna go. So you may say, you may look at this and ask yourself, well, aren't you extenuating a spot? Yes, I am now because I've practiced neutral long enough till I can find neutral. And there's also another difference in my extenuating a certain place. Most of the time, when people snap into a technique, they create tension. You can see my forearm, for example, when I go and I, you can see the blood vessels and tension in my arms. Well, when I extenuate, it's just the opposite. It it loosens so that it can move faster and continue on because any tension that you feel in your body is power that you didn't give to them. That's why it's tension, right? Because it's stored up tension, which means it didn't go to them. Your power didn't transfer. It's stuck right there in your arm or in your mind in this case. So we want to we want to be free of that kind of stuff. That was great, Kathy. Yes, it was. Good. Okay. All right. So let's put it together. How did Karen do? Pretty good. Good. How did it feel to you? Okay. All right. So
Body was connected throughout the whole thing, which was
okay. Well, that's good. So our body was connected. All right. Well, as y'all were physically practicing with each other, I was making a comment to the folks online that, the reason that we start to practice, and I had made the comment in the beginning of this, is that in summary, we wanted to be able to realize where the mind was trying to find space. Okay. And trying to find space was Sifu Chin's way of explaining it to you. Right? There was a lot of things like that that it makes sense to you, right? But when you first hear it, you're like, my mind's trying to find space. It's amazing that he's talking to you literally at a polypeptide level. But he doesn't even know that he's speaking to you at a biochemical level because for him, it's a fish explaining water. And for us, don't even know the ocean, right? So but when you start to get further down, at least with my career path, I realized that he's talking about when the moment a thought and a feeling come together And to create action, it's at a biochemical level. It's a biochemical product with an electrical charge. They come together, boom, you got action, right? You got a neural transmitter. You have to have both of them for it to shoot down that nerve line. So when he says your mind is looking for space, he's talking to you at the very essence of the seed of thought. Now, you can't just jump there, right? Just like you can't go in the first day of math and learn calculus. Right? You have to build yourself up and get some like mathematical muscle behind you. Well, the same is true here. And so when you're practicing and you're posting and you're going through, you have little exercises like the one we did, expand and contract. Okay. And then you have something like shoe the sheep. And as I was saying to the folks online, you know, you have to look at how first always start in my example earlier in stillness, you start at zero and you go to a negative or to a positive, correct? Okay. Well, when you do it in motion, you just try to get to neutral. Everything is without any extenuation. That's ground zero. Okay, start there. Then I can extenuate one side, or I can extenuate this side, right? That's up to me. I can extenuate going up and out, expanding, or I can extenuate coming back. Later on, you'll do them right after. So you might have right where you suck it in and throw it right out. But now that's further down the path. You don't try to just go there. The reason that that's so important, and two other things with this, and I know this is a broad spectrum of things that we could digest more, is that if you don't have a ground zero, then you have a prejudice because now you're always thinking about where something is. And so you just practice a punch, you go, because you're always imagining that it's right there like a punching bag. And then one day you come in and it gets 2 inches closer to, and you're like, well, that's too close. No, that's a problem in your mind because you're thinking about where it's supposed to be instead of where it is. And since you've always practiced where it's supposed to be, you're not prepared mentally or emotionally to change your thoughts. Instead of saying, this is ground zero, I'm going, I don't give a shit where you are. Sorry. See, I did it, and then I realized what I did. I was in my emotion, right? But so you have to have zero in order to practice extenuation. And the other thing with it is that when you practice extenuating something, in Chinese they call it jing. Where are you deciding to explode? Okay, in most styles, what they'll do, it doesn't matter what style it is, you'll see them. Let's say I do a buffalo tie. You see them, and when they move and they've gotten their tension, they go, hey, and you'll see the tension, like their arms, the muscles tight, hey, and everything is tight. The forearm muscles get tight and all that stuff. Well, now they're practicing shortening themselves with the belief that they're demonstrating power. And when we're practicing, it's just almost the opposite. Yeah, I'm going to extenuate with relaxation. If or freeing myself of unnecessary tension might be a better way of saying it. So instead of having this tension build up through my shoulder and arm to stop it, it's going to feel like it goes poof. And in my mind, there's as little tension as possible, and it's continuing. In my mind, it continues. Seafood likes to say, be Merlin the wizard and cast a spell, right? So when you throw it, it goes and let it hang out there for a minute or two. Because now you're training your mind not to care. Just do what you can do as quickly as you can. And now the mind won't hesitate because you've not put blocks in it. Notice that if I use the punching bag thing again one day and it all of a sudden you're 2 inches closest to it, what's the first thing that happens to your mind and body when you go to hit it? It hesitates because it realizes that it's not where it's supposed to be. Right. So you want to work through those things so you don't create hesitation and and your mind trying to find space, because I can promise you, you can test it. If you've practiced hitting a punching bag or a pole at the same distance every time, and you go boom, boom. The first time you move closer to it, you'll go, you'll pull back because your mind is looking for space. We don't want that because if push comes to shove, there'll be no time to look for space. You'll need to be locked and loaded, ready to go, and move without hesitation. If things work out, great. If they don't work out, then move again. Okay? Good practice today.